people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. Easily breaking MC like dismantling Triscuits. Don't miss this instance. I managed to rip it, damage any amateur, ramming them as not hitless. My flows cold, you're sweet, but I'm heat in the streets. A Christian man, but my plans to be a heathen on beats. Read them and read, cause my blood's bleeding on sheets.
How you guys doing today? Jason A. Kuhn here, giving you a Fight the Deception with Christian Perception news brief for January 27th, 2014. Got a lot of news today. With a little time, we'll jump into it here at Infowars.com. CFR calls on Obama to befriend Al-Qaeda terrorist group. The Council on Foreign Relations, a highly influential Washington, D.C. think tank, has called on the Obama administration to befriend a terrorist group in Syria which has pledged allegiance to Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri and whose leader helped plan the 9/11 attacks. In an article entitled The Good and the Bad of Ahrar al-Sham, an Al-Qaeda-linked group worth befriending, the CFR's Michael Duran, William McCants, and Clint Watts argue that supporting the terrorist faction would help the United States contain Iran and Syria as part of Obama's larger strategy. The authors, who even admit that the leader of Ahrar al-Sham, Abu Khalid al-Suri, recently published a statement praising bin Laden and Al-Qaeda's current chief, Ayman al-Zawahiri, underscoring the fact that Al-Qaeda and Ahrar al-Sham are joined at the hip. Well, I really hate these names. It's just such a tongue twister. According to reports, al-Suri, real name Mohammed Bahaya, is a long-time Al-Qaeda operative who worked as a courier for the terror network, is al-Zawahiri's representative in Levant, and even delivered surveillance tapes of the World Trade Center and other American landmarks to Al-Qaeda's senior leadership in Afghanistan in early 1998. According to the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, other Al-Qaeda operatives hold key positions with Ahrar al-Sham. So essentially, the CFR, which is basically a front for the State Department, is now calling on the Obama administration to make an alliance with Al-Qaeda group, whose leader helped plan the 9/11 attacks, all in the name of destabilizing Iran and Syria. Let that sink in for you folks. Let's move on here to Breitbart.com. Exclusive Hollywood brainstorms portraying Obamacare in TV and film. According to an email invitation sent out by the Writers Guild East and obtained by Breitbart News, members of the Hollywood elite and the Obama administration will be gathering in the middle of next month for a panel titled The Affordable Care Act, Comedy, Drama, and Reality, portraying Obamacare in TV and film. Julie Green Battilli, a director of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, will represent the Obama administration. The left-wing Norman Lear Center is co-sponsoring the event. The powerful left-wing Hollywood organizations combining with the federal government's powerful CMS is not something to be taken lightly. The intent here is obvious and deadly serious, and the American people should brace themselves for a propaganda push in their film and television entertainment that is meant only to aid and abet Obama's federal government. Move on here to wearechange.org. Mississippi is 10th state to consider legislation to ban cooperation with NSA. With the introduction of the Fourth Amendment Protection Act this week, Mississippi became the 10th state in the country to consider legislation to make life difficult for the NSA's ongoing mass surveillance programs. Senate Bill 2438, introduced by Senator Chris McDaniel, would make it the official policy of Mississippi to refuse material support, participation, or assistance to any federal agency which claims the power, or with any federal law, rule, regulation, or order which purports to authorize the collection of electronic data or metadata of any persons pursuant to any action not based on a warrant that particularly describes the person's places, and things to be searched or seized. In Mississippi, this would primarily address the use of data and metadata in court and criminal proceedings, thwarting one practical effect of what the NSA does with all the data it collects. Let's move on to a related article out of TheGuardian.com. NSA and GCHQ target leaky phone apps like Angry Birds to scoop users' data. The National Security Agency and its UK counterpart, GCHQ, have been developing capabilities to take advantage of leaky smartphone apps, such as the wildly popular Angry Birds game that transmits users' private information across the internet, according to top-secret documents. The data pouring onto communication networks from the new generation of iPhone and Android apps ranges from phone model and screen size to personal data details such as age, gender, and location. Some apps, the documents state, can share users' most sensitive information, such as sexual orientation, and one app recorded in the material even sends specific sexual preferences, such as whether or not the user may be a swinger. Many smartphone owners will be unaware of the full extent this information is being shared across the internet, and even the most sophisticated would be unlikely to realize that all of it is available for the spy agencies to collect. Dozens of classified documents provided by The Guardian by whistleblower Edward Snowden and reported in partnership with the New York Times and ProPublica detail the NSA and GCHQ efforts to piggyback on this commercial data collection for their own purposes. Yeah, so when you go to download a new app on your Android or iPhone or BlackBerry Playbook or anything like that, and it's asking you permission to access all your data and to access your account, your emails, access your friends list, your photos, that's exactly what it's for. So don't download those apps. Let's move on here back to Infowars.com. Corporate billionaires defend NSA. The government's defense of its constant surveillance of the American public reached a new level of absurdity when Obama compared Paul Revere to the NSA. Now it's time for the corporate billionaires to defend what their puppet Obama can't. Enter Bill Gates and Mayor Anderson to tell us what we need to trust the NSA, and we're too stupid to understand the technology. Yet William Binney, former technical director of the NSA worldwide, understood the technology and has been telling us for years that the NSA is breaking the law. Let's give this a listen.
Well, Obama's defense of the NSA's constant surveillance of all Americans just reached a new level of absurdity when he compared them to Paul Revere. After blatantly lying, even they realize they don't have any credibility.
We're putting out mindless propaganda, is what some of us feel that we're putting out, and that what the American people feel that we're putting out.
What's a tyrant to do? Well, you could pull in some corporate billionaires who work hand in glove with the NSA. I'm sure that would help.
So it's not as though government surveillance is absolutely bad in all cases. Is it done in a way that people trust that the normal privacy concerns are being adhered to?
It's interesting.
No, Bill Gates, we do not trust the NSA at all. Let's move on here to libertariannews.org. Nation's largest cocaine smuggler revealed, the DEA. Let's give this a listen.
Has the nation's largest cocaine smuggler been revealed to be the Drug Enforcement Agency? Well, for decades, it's been rumored that the United States government was secretly sponsoring the smuggling of cocaine into the country. Federal officials have long denied such speculation, pointing out the billions of dollars spent intercepting drugs. Newly released documents and testimony from Justice Department and DEA officials now show the stories of government running cocaine are in fact true. An investigation conducted in Mexico found the American government allowed that country's largest drug cartel, Sinaloa, to operate without fear of persecution. That group is estimated to be responsible for 80% of the cocaine coming into the United States through Chicago. In exchange, the leaders of Sinaloa provided the Drug Enforcement Agency in Washington, D.C. information on their rival gangs.
Wow. Let's move on here to AlJazeera.com. Government. Guards may be responsible for half of inmate sex assaults. Allegations of rape and sexual assault involving inmates are increasing, and nearly half of those assaults are committed against prisoners by correctional officers, according to a new report issued by the Justice Department's Bureau of Justice Statistics. Prison and jail administrators reported 8,763 cases of alleged sexual abuse of inmates in 2011, representing an increase of 4% from the 8,404 that reported in 2010, an 11% jump from the 7,855 reported in 2009, the report said. The report released last week defined sexual victimization as any non-consensual sexual acts, abuse of touch and threats, and verbal sexual harassment. It involves surveying federal and state prisons, private prisons, local jails, military prisons, and jails in Indian country. 1.97 million inmates in total. Wow. The issue of prison rape has received heightened attention since Congress passed the Prison Rape Elimination Act in 2003, which calls for prisons and jails to keep detailed records of incidents of rape to be published by the government annually. Let's move on here to TechDirt.com. God bless the drivers of or secret audit of Baltimore's speed cams says up to 70,000 tickets were issued in error in 2012 alone. Wow, God bless the drivers of Maryland, whose government officials have been experimenting on them for years by placing their driving records and insurance rates in the hands of unreliable private contractors for years. We've already covered one major traffic camera firm, the American Traffic Solutions, in Maryland, D.C. area, whose response to questionable photos captured by its cameras was to crop out anything that might make the ticket challengeable, like calibration lines or other vehicles. Now it appears another major contractor, Xerox State and Local Solutions, has been caught operating faulty cameras and issuing tens of thousands of questionable citations. This is via Reason. Consultant URS Corp evaluated the camera system as run by Xerox State and Local Solutions in 2012 and found an error rate of more than 10%, 40 times higher than city officials have claimed. The city's got those findings last April but never disclosed the error rate, refusing calls by members of the city council to release the audit. The city issued roughly 700,000 speed camera tickets at $40 each in the fiscal year of 2012. If 10% were wrong, 70,000 would have wrongfully been charged $2.8 million. Wow. Welcome to the police state, 1984. Let's move on here back to Infowars.com. Exposed Sandy Hook shooter's biggest threat still lives. Adam Lanza, the purported Sandy Hook school shooter, is the subject of an ongoing investigation in Connecticut. No, it's not a police probe, it's about mental health. The investigation is all about Lanza's medical history, what diagnoses were made, and who his doctors were, what psychiatric drugs they prescribed Lanza. The governor of Connecticut is ultimately in charge in order to make recommendations about improving mental health in the state and preventing future violent tragedies. But the inquiry has stalled. Despite multiple agencies apparently having possession of Lanza's medical psychiatric history, these reports have been closed to the vest and not released. Why? There are a number of reasons. First, and obviously, the psychiatric drugs didn't make Lanza better. They made him worse. And some of those drugs, like the SSRI antidepressants, are known to cause violent behavior, including homicide. That's all the news I got for you guys today. I don't want to leave you without the New World Order quote of the day. Quote, "Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." Unquote. Woodrow Wilson, The New Freedom, 1913. Don't want to leave you without the proverb of the day. This is Proverbs 21:16, King James only. "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." It's all the news, articles, and quotes I got for you guys today. I'll leave you guys off with a song that I brought you in on. This is by Insufficient Funds, A Bad Check.
It was impossible, though what may be overcome as three, we are unstoppable. I shock the fools who think I'd ever take this art for granted. All this work was worth it, cause another seed has been planted. With great potential like a painter's empty canvas, demanding the standard of holiness all throughout the planet. It's getting frantic, got the enemy in panic, still we're blinded by the veils of apathy, and I just get busy. Speak flows, we close, get deep bold with deep poems, the streets owe us monuments. The stilo be dominant through prominent speech, so any parliament party of followers come all the way to beat. Slow peace moments that calm sickness. These is Ray Allen raps that's bombing them from long distance. Any problems we be gone vicious, leading Lord with the sickest raps out insufficient. And we be throwing them up, cracking down on all you 40 rappers calling your bluff. While trying to keep you from the flames, we're not playing no games. Not hating, we got this lock, play when it change. The block staying the same. Album drops hot, we on top. Now you moms and pops saying our name. Put these three together, we're better and ill with the rhetoric. Don't you ever forget it, that Christ is always credited. I'm gonna keep on speaking it so that it